How much do you have to owe the IRS to go to jail, or more specifically, federal prison? Well, there's no real specific answer to that question because the law, the law does not specify some minimum dollar amount at which a willful failure to comply with your income tax obligations becomes a crime. All it says is if you willfully attempt in any manner to evade or defeat any tax, right? It doesn't say any tax over $10,000, any tax over $1,000,000, any tax imposed by this title or the payment thereof shall, in addition to other penalties provided by law, be guilty of a felony, and upon conviction thereof shall be fined not more than $100,000. This is the felony statute. There's a misdemeanor statute as well. Willful failure to file returns, supply information, or pay tax. Any person required under this title to pay any estimated tax or required by this title to make a return, like file a tax return, keep records, blah, 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 who willfully fails to do so, who willfully fails to pay the tax or make a return, shall, in addition to other penalties provided by law, be guilty of a misdemeanor and, upon conviction thereof, shall be fined not more than $25,000 or imprisoned not more than 1 year or both. So there's no minimum dollar amount that, okay, if you owe this much, okay, now the IRS is going to look into you, right? Now they're going to do it. And, to be frank, most of the time in practice, the IRS Criminal Investigation Division, the Department of Justice, they do prioritize bigger fish. Okay. They do prioritize, public figures or people who are just so egregious in their what they're doing. Those tend to attract the attention of criminal investigation. But it's not just huge dollar amounts either. I don't want anyone walking away from this video thinking, I don't know that much. IRS is never going to go after me. I made a video about Arthur Farnsworth, who went to federal prison for tax crime for owing $87,000. Okay. That this was some time. What is this? What is this? This wasn't here when I pulled this. Anyway, Farnsworth, right? So this was back in, 06. He was convicted in December 2006 for failing to pay an estimated $80,000 in federal tax from 1998 through 2000, right? So, $80,000 20 years ago is, worth more today. It's maybe low 100,000 or something like that. But still, that's not like a crazy amount that's not like huge, right? It's not like, oh, well, yeah, only the guys who owe like $5 million end up in jail. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. And he wasn't a one-off either. There's this guy, Libel, I found. He was sentenced on related tax crimes for filing false federal income tax returns with the IRS for the years 03 to 06. He failed to report at least $40,000 in cash. Okay, $43,000, at least $43,000, right? If it was more, it would probably say more. $43,000. That's not huge. That's not huge, folks. I mean, man, the people work under the table making cash in various industries to the tune of $43,000 or more a year. There's got to be thousands, probably tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars of folks who have some kind of a business. They insist that their customers pay them cash, right? And they're not reporting that income for a lot more than 43 grand, right? But this guy was sentenced for a tax crime that involved not reporting and not paying taxes on only $43,000 of cash income. Okay, I'm not saying that's not a lot of money. If someone's like, hey, I'll give you 40 grand right now, yeah, first I'll say. But I think people. What I'm saying is, I think people have the impression that it's only if you owe millions, right? The IRS is going to go after you criminally, right? And while that tends to be the case, they don't exclusively go after just the big fish. One more here, and this guy kind of had a public kind of persona. He was like a televangelist, right? And this was a little more money too. Jeez, all these pop-up ads. Are we still in like the early 2000s? Why are pop-up ads still a thing? Anyway, so this guy, W.V. Grant. So he pleaded guilty to failing to report at least $375,000 in income from 2 of his tax-exempt church corporations, including $100,000 used for a down payment on his country club home. So, you know, that's a little bit more money, right? 375 grand. But, you know, so he didn't report $375,000 worth of income. Maybe that was, you know, 100, 200,000, I don't know, 100, $150,000 worth of taxes at stake there, right? Not, you know, that's a lot of money, but it's not like a lot of money, you know. Um, so yeah, I don't want people getting the impression that, hey, I don't worry about my tax issue, you know. Because you might, you know, definitely on a civil level, right? So penalties and interest, that's going to get tacked on regardless, right? I'm just talking about the criminal aspect of things here, where I just want to show you, like, look, historically, there have been cases where the dollar amount was not huge. The dollar amount was not like millions of dollars, and yet still the IRS cracked down on people, right? Investigated, Department of Justice charged them, they're prosecuted, and they were convicted, and they went to prison. Okay, so back to the original point, there's no minimum dollar amount that you owe the IRS that winds you up in jail, right? It's a combination of factors. The government knows it has to prove willfulness, right? But there's some other kind of factors not in the statute the government may consider as well. But it's not always just the huge fish that are sought after for tax crimes criminally. Okay. I made a related video on can you go to jail for not filing your tax return. Link to that video at the upper left-hand corner of the screen. I also have all my videos about tax crimes and tax evasion stories in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.